And welcome everyone to day number 8, a Tuesday of racing at Colonial Downs for August the 3rd. Pretty sure.
August 3rd, all day.
I know. So working like days in ahead, it throws things off a little bit sometimes, but we're doing all right, Jess. Happy to see you again and ready to talk about a 9-race extravaganza, some turf, some dirt. Supposed to be cooler temperatures this week, some rain possible at different points. It certainly didn't affect us having to come off the turf last week, and we had more rain than I can imagine. So you're usually pretty safe handicapping our races to stay on the turf.
I was blown away by how well that turf course took all that water. I was a little bit skeptical when it seemed like we were actually going to stay on the turf. And every jockey came back with a big smile on their face talking about how great the turf course was.
And they were skeptical too, right?
Yes, everyone was a little skeptical. We got a ton of rain.
Jill's been telling us every year. She talks about it. Oh, the course drains so amazingly. And every year I'm proven doubt, because I guess we're just so used to, there's some courses, we used to joke River Downs, like if somebody dumped a pitcher of water in the parking lot, they'd take it off.
That's it. Yeah.
And so, that's a thing in horse racing. Well, let's talk about the program. Of course, the first race on the card. We're starting on the main track, 5 furlongs for 2-year-olds. It's a very quick run into that first turn, but just a field of 7, so nobody going to get cast out too wide. And an 8-5 morning line favorite for Carlos Munoz and Plain Gold, who just ran a couple of days ago.
Yeah, I looked elsewhere. That's a really quick turnaround for me. Yeah. And I understand sometimes, some horses really don't mind that at all, but that's never been my favorite angle. I went with number 2, Agent Stone. Looks like this one had an educational debut at Charlestown. I thought he ran on well despite sort of a rough start. And, in those 4.5 furlong races, there's not a lot of time to recover if the break does not go well for you. So I thought...
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, that was my fault.
Yeah, no, I just thought despite all that, he ran on pretty well.
Yeah, spotting him 11 lengths, 4.5 is pretty brutal.
Game over, really.
The Plain Gold race, it was a turf race going a route, and Plain Gold's stablemate, I think I'm forgetting the name, Speaking School or Speaking Scott, whatever it was, ran second that day on debut. And so I was almost curious if the other Carlos Munoz debuter this time, Chaotic Tempo, might make a little bit of noise. The Nyquist first time starter, not much of a work tab to be sure. Really just the last 3 weeks.
Boy, those Nyquist run though. Yeah. More and more, I'm more and more impressed by them the more I see.
The MC Reardon horse Flashy Pants did just absolutely no running in the first start. They come back short. They come back on dirt for race number 2. And again, this was out of that same race just a couple of days ago.
A lot of factors could make this horse move up. He's dropping in for a tag, switching surfaces, cutting back in distance, and getting Lasix for the first time. So that you're just kind of throwing all the things to see what sticks, I think. Yeah. I used it, but not. Yeah.
Well, you got to use something. Might help. Got to use somebody. It's a race where obviously there's a lot of horses that haven't done a whole lot. It's a maiden race, but there's certainly some speed from the 3, at least routing. So I get why players might go towards that one. Ham Smith on the inside is not great with debut runners. He's better with better debut runners, as weird as that sounds. Debut maiden claimers only 3%, but I think he was like 13% or 14% with debut maiden special weights. So, and this one is a claimer. But your picks for the first, Jess?
2, 1, 6, and 5.
We transition on to the inner turf course, 1.16 miles for a $10,000 open claimers for the boys, and a field of 8 in here. Where did you land on this one? I saw Kathleen O'Connell had one in, so my prediction was maybe you went to that one.
You are correct. I'm a big Kathleen O'Connell fan. Again, no bearing on today's races, but she did train the horse that kind of made me fall in love with racing when I was a kid. So I always do have a soft spot. I love seeing how well she has done over the years. This one looks pretty well meant here. Returning to action off of about a 4-month break. That Tampa form we're seeing hold up well, both on the racetrack and in the announcer's booth. And the horse has some backlash. I like the turn of foot. This is a course that at this point is playing pretty favorably to closers.
Yeah, it does seem that it's certainly been the trend to come from a little off it. I've seen a lot of horses who are on the lead who, there's been some fast contested paces too, where those horses just didn't really have a chance, but there's been a few where they've kind of been able to walk the dog, so to speak, and not really fired after that. I thought it was interesting. Derek Ryan, who has sent one up here and already won this meet, but pretty solid barn that's often at Monmouth. They have the number 8 Rough Night. Did that one land on your radar anywhere?
Did not. But you can make a case for that one. Again, this is a barn that's live. Really needs to move forward off of that recent form, though. I really didn't like those last two races.
Yeah. Bird's Nest Party was claimed last time and a non-winner of the year, and now jumps up to the Open 10. To me, that seems like a pretty tough spot to be in, but was also part of a very, very hot pace last time. But that was just a much weaker race, I thought. Where did you land here in the total picks for the second race?
1, 5, 7, and 2.
Yeah, the 7, Chucky Lopez, cold start so far. 0 for
19, I'm
I
surprised
think.
to see that. I'm just kind of waiting for him to have that breakthrough win.
Yeah, I mean, when you got 20 mounts, if you have a 2-win day, you're all of a sudden back up to normalcy. So it's variance. It's variance. Maiden special weight back on the main track, 5 furlongs, and some Peter Miller runners showing up here. Both first-time starters. Dallas Stewart draws the rail with a first-time starter in here. There's a John Ortiz firster in here, and then there's a Brett Calhoun horse who's run pretty darn good in 3 starts. So I thought a few different ways to go here.
This is a competitive race. I went to the inside with the Dallas Stewart first-time starter, son of Curlin, out of a mare named Tiz Miz Sue. She was a grade 1 winning millionaire. The cool thing about her, she was a stakes-winning 2-year-old and continued to be a graded stakes type filly through her 6-year-old year. And you don't really see a lot of horses be able to be that precocious and then continue to develop. So really nice horse. This one's bred to be, a really nice racehorse. This mare's been a solid black type producer. The work tab has been steady. Dallas Stewart has been very live with horses running at Colonial. So I think a lot to like here. Not entirely convinced that this horse wants to go 5 furlongs. This is another one of those 2-year-olds that I get very excited about their pedigree. And then I'm going to see them come into the paddock looking like they want to go 1.5 miles and have to change my opinion.
Yeah. Pretty nice work there back on the 21st, 59 bullet out of 16. The course here plays pretty quick. So the workouts, there's been a few times where I'm like, oh, wow, 48 and change work. And then you look and it's like, 8th out of 20. And so you got to be aware that the Peter Miller horses, I was curious because he's not a trainer we've seen show up here, but it's the same owners on both horses. I almost wonder, we've seen this with a few outfits, like if they have owners who are based around here, they like running around here. And
you want to see your horses run, of course.
Yeah. We see the Dars horses, they often come run out here for Stidham and others. Tejano Twist, I feel like we should mention, those are 3 tough Kentucky maiden special weights and was not disgraced in any of them.
I think his experience edge actually might give him a little bit of an advantage here. He should be a little more professional than some of these debut runners.
Yeah, not a lot of speed though, which is always obviously a little bit concerning going a short distance. But your picks for the third?
1, 6, 5, and 2.
The 4th race on the card, we stay sprinting, but we move over to the turf, just 5 furlongs. It seems like we've had more of the 5 furlong turfs than years past. It seemed like the first couple of years, it was almost exclusively 5.5 with the occasional 5 sprinkled in, but we've had plenty of these 5 furlong turf sprints, and we have an even money morning line favorite. I think this is the shortest Merv morning line we've seen this meet.
I think bold move by Merv. Yeah.
And it's just a huge class drop, right? And coming from New York for Slippin' Jimmy.
I'm eating some chalk here. I do think this one looks pretty tough. Sarah Nagel's, the barn's been really live to start the season. And he also has won over this course. He won in 2019 here. His running style really fits. I think there's just too much to like.
To me, what I thought was most impressive about the horse was, he's a closing turf sprinter, which, you feel like is usually not the best thing, right? Because there's so many speedballs and stuff. But doing it, he won a Gulfstream coming from off the pace, going 5, and that is not easy to do. He almost won 2 back against 35 open. So the drop, obviously, I don't want to say suspicious, but it's significant. But the horse, I think, warrants being favored. As you said, some speed from Mosby's Ranger. The Susan Cooney horse looks like a good early foot type. There's honestly not a ton of early speed for a turf sprint. A lot of these horses seem to like to come from off the pace, which is unusual, right?
Political decision, I think, is a bit of a question mark. He's a little tactical. He seemed to have a little bit of speed on the dirt, and if that translates, you wonder if maybe he'll try to send from the inside.
Yeah, I noticed it said previously trained by the owner, so I'm guessing it's just one of those deals where when they ship out of town, they just put in another trainer's name kind of thing.
Sure.
Yeah. Your picks for the 4th, Jess, turf sprinting?
2, 1, 8, and 3.
5th race on the card, a 25,000 non-winner of 3 lifetime, and seems like the 5th race every day. Obviously, it's an important race. It's the last race of the early pick 4. It's the first race of the late pick 5, and kind of a competitive group. Some horses we've seen before, and some new ones. I have a bit of a trip comment on one, but I'll let you start with your top pick.
I went with number 3, Scano, on the bench since March. He's been gelded since his last start. A little brain surgery never hurt anybody. And while he isn't the most consistent, he showed some real ability last year. And Brendan Walsh has been very live shipping in so far.
Yeah, hasn't been beat.
Yeah, that's it. Like tough to knock that.
Yeah, the Dars horses, as I said earlier, they always kind of point towards this meet, and there's like literally everything kind of looks positive other than I guess the layoff. But I mean, is 4 months really that significant of a layoff? At
It's
this point?
not.
Yeah. And so, no, I actually agree with you. I had that horse, excuse me, kind of as my on top type. I did want to mention the number 1 Stringfella, who was a winner was the 14 in the program and the 13 post. The comment says 5 or 6 wide and bid. And I went back and watched the replay. The horse got down to the rail on the first turn and kind of stayed on the rail of the second turn. The 5 to 6 wide part didn't really come into play until they were straightened out, because he swung out once they'd straightened out. So I thought it was a little bit of a, I mean, the chart callers have literally 10 spots to put, or 10 letters to put a comment in. And so I just thought I should clarify that a little bit, because it wasn't as though the horse was wide on both turns. It was actually a really, really excellent ride by Dennis Arrojo to get this one to save ground on both turns from that far outside draw. But kind of got stopped a little bit on the second turn. I mean, this is a class hike, right? Going up to 25 non-3. And so I don't necessarily like the horse. I just thought it was worth mentioning that. And I should mention my buddy Joe Christofek, co-worker with the Churchill Downs, owns the Brilliant Racing Group, asking for it.
That's where I knew this horse came from. I was trying to think, why is this horse so familiar to me? And that's why, because we're always rooting for Joe and this horse runs.
Yeah, and they're pretty honest type. I think he actually ran the Indiana Derby and dumped the rider at the start.
Cool.
If I remember right,
horses are fun.
A couple of years ago, he was all excited, big grade 2 race, and dumps the jock right out of the chute. But I mean, this horse is, competed in some stakes at Churchill, was third in $115,000 stakes ways back. And obviously form has not been great. So they're dropping in price to the lowest they've been in a while for this one. I got to think this one gets some support, especially after Michelle Lovell had the big 2-win day.
Nice 2-win day. The turf is just a question mark for me with this one.
What about Uncle Armando? I don't know if you remember him. He was in the first race of the season. I thought he was going to win in mid-stretch, and he flattened out. And Lyrical Gangster also comes out of that same race. So Uncle Armando's racing out of condition, but I didn't think that was the strongest race. So both them jumping up seems suspect to me.
I used Lyrical Gangster. Okay. I left Uncle Armando off, even though I did like him last time, because I don't love when a horse runs out of condition. Why not? Stay where you belong. Get your second win, and then move along.
It's not like we don't run a lot of non-winners of 2 here.
Yeah, that's there. The option is there. So that one was just kind of a head scratcher for me.
Yeah. Your picks for the 5th, Jess?
3, 2, 7, and 5.
Yeah, I'm with you on Scano big time in that one. The 6th race starts the late pick 4, and I thought just a really good race. I mentioned Derek Ryan earlier. Brittany Russell's got one in here. Trombetta's got a horse coming
out.
Ned
Allard has one in here.
I don't even know who Ed Allard is.
Ned Allard. Edward T. Allard.
Ned? Okay.
New England Hall of Fame trainer, trained Mom's Command.
Oops.
One of the all-time good guys, and my entire season will be made if he makes an appearance to the paddock. He is one of my all-time favorite humans. I was the one that put him in the Hall of Fame when I was president of the New England Turf Riders. And so I guess you can tell where I went here.
The Kathleen O'Connell horse, number 7 Odremark, right?
Though funny enough, Ned Allard also trained Blazing Sword for a stretch. Okay. He was Gil Campbell's house trainer.
There you go. Okay. Well, you're saying all these names, people I don't know who they are, but
now you do.
I'm sure they're wonderful.
Now you do. Ned Allard is one of the very best.
See, I would have said Edward Allard. Now I know not to say
Ned Allard.
Okay, there we go. So Courageous Dinah is 12-1 though. That's who you went with.
I will take a swing with a hometown favorite. This horse, I think, is better than her recent form indicates. She was kind of right in the mix last time out against a competitive field. And honestly, in Ned Allard, I trust. He is, one of the most beloved guys. Since he moved on from New England racing, he's kind of made his home in the Mid-Atlantic and has continued to do very well there.
I'm going to burst Merv's bubble because I think a class dropper from Belmont with a couple good speed figures isn't going to be 12-1.
That's fair.
Sorry, Merv. I love you, buddy. Love you.
I will take this horse all day at 12-1 and try to look smart.
Well, and the thing is, there's certainly not going to be favorite. There's some other horse. The Kathleen O'Connell horse I mentioned, Odremark, was a nice winner at Monmouth last time out, and Paco Lopez was on board that day. They were 3-5 in that allowance, and now in for 40,000. I think probably a deserving favorite there.
And looks very tough. This is a horse that you kind of have to either take a real stand against or really use.
I think Courageous Dinah is going to be 3rd choice, maybe 4th. We'll see.
As long as he winds up first, I don't care what he is. And Ned Allard, I'm just desperately hoping Ned makes the trip and saddles this horse.
There you go. Your picks for the 6th.
4 for New England Hall of Fame trainer Ned Allard.
Should we just stop right there? Just 4. Just 4. Ned. Don't even need a number anymore. Just go up to the teller and say, I want it all on Ned.
All on Ned.
Okay. The 7th race on the program, maiden special weight event on the grass this time. And, I thought overall the Tuesday card was more interesting than the Monday one we talked about yesterday.
This late pick 3 is so interesting to me. Yeah,
exactly. And so go ahead and talk about this because I think we're going to have a strong favorite in Caveat Emptor.
Who I didn't use at all. I actually think this race, you can go a little bit deeper here. I think Prayer Hope, a lot of natural speed, has finished first twice. Those I know came over fences, so technically still a maiden on the flat. But holy pedigree on this horse. Half sibling to Grade 1 winner Malibu Prayer and Grade 2 millionaire Valid, who somehow became a graded stakes winner despite Marcus Vitale. So a lot of class here with this horse.
If I remember right, I think Nick Juarez adopted Valid in retirement. Yeah. Shout out Nikki J.
Who did all the right things by that horse.
Yeah, there you go. The Stidham horse, Plucky Strike, I thought worthy of a little bit of a mention. Kind of made a middle move last time out. Brett Calhoun sends over Blue Boon from the Fairgrounds, who they tried turf last time, and I think it went okay. And Rochambeau, I think it was a Cherie DeVoe horse who came back to win nicely. So I thought a little bit of a live race there for Blue Boon. I mean, I just thought there was a lot of ways to go here. All these horses look like they got some kind of ability.
I also like Button Boy a little bit at maybe a big price. He does need to make a step forward, but his races haven't been abysmal. Yeah. I like that Karamanos gets aboard, and this horse is bred to run like literally all day.
Yeah, just kind of flattened out last time a little bit, was right in the hunt in mid-stretch. We should talk about Caveat Emptor because, like I said, I think a lot of people are going to be on this one. The speed figures are really big. It's a New York shipper. It's Toner's a longtime solid barn, has struggled a little bit in recent years, but I got to think this one gets attention at the windows.
And probably deservingly so. I mean, I think this horse can definitely be in the mix. Worth noting, Half Sibling's a steeplechase horse here that we've already saw run this season over fences.
How do you remember all that stuff?
My brain is just full of song lyrics and horse stuff. Nothing else. Nothing. Absolutely nothing else.
I'm terrible at remembering that kind of stuff. I can remember like trips during the race, but I don't know.
I remember horses that ran 17 years ago in like non-winners of 2 at Suffolk Downs.
Joe Withy at Emerald Downs is like that. He'll be doing the preview and he's like, oh, is that a Strawberry Morn? Or was that Nice Mare? She won a non-winner of 3 here once back in 1998. I'm just like, are you kidding?
I'm like Pony Rain Man. It's fine. Fine.
That should be in your Twitter bio. Rain Man. Oh, let's did you give your picks for the 7th, Jess?
I mean, yeah, sure. 3, 5, 2, and 4.
All right. The 8th race on the card, we start the late daily double. It's an optional claimer 40,000 going 5.5 furlongs. Brendan Walsh, who I mentioned is not lost yet, brings a horse on a 2-race winning streak. Lantano, like I said, the Dars horses, they want to run here, and they have some good ones. And I think this is 6-1. That means there must be some really good ones in here in addition to it. Plus, it's a big field.
This race is what a race. I've been so excited about this race. Number 8, Fox Rocks, to me is the embodiment of everything as a racing fan I love about this sport. He's 10 years old. He's raced 106 times and he's still winning. That's the coolest thing to me, that this is a horse who obviously still has plenty of gas left in the tank and loves the job. His dam, she's a Stone Cold Fox. Do you remember her?
No.
Well, she was a really popular New York bred who kind of rose from Finger Lakes and won some stakes races a million years ago. Again, Pony Rain Man. She's been a really, really cool producer too. She's passed on a lot of that like durability and toughness to her offspring. And Fox Rocks, 106 starts. That they don't make them like that anymore. In an age where horses retire, after 6 starts or after once, or can't hold up for an entire season of racing, for this horse to have lasted in this kind of competitive form for this long is something that really should be celebrated.
Yeah. A lot of 6-figure earners in this race. Strike Me Down for Michelle Lovell toward the outside. One they claimed for 30,000 and jumped up in class and has run a couple of decent races. I just thought there was so many interesting horses in here. Dabini's coming off a nice win down at Delaware, sprinting for Kate Damasi, who's a very, very good trainer based up at Parks, I believe. I just thought it was a kind of a cool race.
I also like another point on number 11, Strike Me Down, bred by Samson Farm. This horse has class 4 days. And again, the Michelle Lovell's barn's been super live.
I know Samson Farm.
Oh, good. Excellent.
Yeah. Yellow,
good.
yellow, red, and blue silks. Like
okay, so maybe if I can tell you the silks of some of these horses, you'll remember them.
There's a way better chance that's going to be. That's one of my. That's my Rain Man. Is like I'll be talking to somebody, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I trained so and so," and I'm like, orange with blue sleeves," and they're like, "Yeah, weird." Okay.
We are just this entire sport is the island of misfit toys. Look at us.
Your picks for that exciting 8th race.
8, 11, 2, and 3.
What should we do for the finale? Should we go maiden claimers routing on the turf?
Let's do it.
With a big full field. How many maiden claimers routing on the turf do we have at this place?
Whole bunch.
There's so many. Allison must just be like, all right, well, we need a race here. Let's put on let's put this one in the finale. I'll start with Salmon Style just because I thought it was a pretty honest effort at about this level last time out. I feel like one that's going to take a fair bit of money in here. And but I mean, you can make a case for quite a few, I think.
He looks like a legitimate contender. He looks like he's heading in the right direction. I just don't want to take necessarily a super short price in one of these otherwise wide open races. And that said, I have not even really. Oh, nope. I went 20 with a 20-1 on the morning line with my top selection. So
okay,
I do not. For those that don't know, I don't look at the morning line when I handicap.
Yeah, she does it beforehand.
Yeah, I don't like to be skewed by someone else's opinion, and I am easily I take suggestion quite easily.
Was it Aces Up?
Yeah, it is Aces Up. Trying the turf for the first time, dropping in for a tag for the first time. This is a horse who has some upside, trying something different.
Certainly has some speed too.
And some real pedigree for the turf too. Union Rags, they kind of do everything. And the thing that I'm interested about most in this horse is I've had some interesting talks with some of the riders about the body types that really excel on this turf course. And they say they seem to like a more physical, big-bodied sort of horse, not necessarily a little catty one. And I think of Union Rags and I think of these almost warm blood looking offspring. Like he produces just really big horses. So I think Aces Up, maybe on the turf.
What about our guy, Commander Keith? He woke up a little bit last time. He was kind of, he was not out of the hunt in mid-stretch. He ran his best race, I thought.
Commander Keith still needs to improve. He needs to up his game a little bit.
All right. He'll get there eventually.
A for effort.
Your picks for the 9th and final, Jess.
2, 3, 11, and 9.
All right. We're going to wrap up our show here. Again, day number 8 out at Colonial Downs on Tuesday. Racing Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. First post at 1:45 p.m. as we're into week 3. And we'll be back, of course, tomorrow for a Wednesday of racing. Hit the subscribe button if you enjoy the preview videos or if you want my barbecue video that I went to North Carolina the other day and made. That'll show up in between the preview videos. Multi-purpose content here on the channel, Jess. Appreciate you, Jess. We'll see you back in town on Monday, but we'll see all you guys at the track today. Everybody have a great day.